Hello and welcome back to the Chat Cave podcast, where we discuss media in the form of topic-based discussions and/or reviews. I'm your host, Dranking Thomas Hughes, and obviously I returned last week, gave my reasons why there was a massive delay, and then I spoke about Gogolus Rangers and Kaiju number 8. And then obviously I explained that my rating system was going to change. Obviously, just a reminder, I'm going to the point now in terms of, it's an example, if I give someone, obviously, if I want to go in the region of, I give an 8, 8.5, or a 9, example, obviously the works different depending on 4, 4.5, 5, 6, 6.5, 7. Like that's my sort of rating system rather than straight to the point. And it definitely worked last week for me, in my opinion. So I'm going to stick with that. And I spoke about at the end that my topic for this week was going to be 2 shark movies that are very different in my opinion in terms of ratings. So I thought, yeah, I'll stick with that. So today, obviously, I'm going to be talking about 2 that have come out. Ooh, definitely come out within the last few months. I think one of them actually over in the UK has been the last few weeks, and obviously that is Something in the Water. Yes, it released in 2024, and The Last Breath released in 2024. I'm gonna start with the shit one. I'll start with the shit one, which is Something in the Water. So Something in the Water, obviously, if you're reading like IMDb, it's kind of described as Bridesmaids meets Jaws. So it's about a bunch of women that go to an island. On the island, obviously, one of them gets attacked by a shark in the water. You don't see the shark, you just see the blood and basically see the gory aftermath, which is probably one of the best parts of the movies. Is then they rush off the island, get stranded because they hit a coral reef, and basically they're stuck in the water as the shark appears and comes and gets them. And I saw like fucking like reviews on it. Reviews are very low, very mixed. Then I saw one review for fucking, I think it's like the Guardian newspaper, and they gave it like a really high score. And I was like, what the fuck? Especially after watching it, I was like, how have they gave this score? It was abysmally bad. Legit. In my terms of my rating, I'm gonna go higher than I probably should with it. But I'm giving this based on a few of the factors I did enjoy in this. The music I enjoyed. I thought the music was really good in this. I thought it was tense, despite the fact that it didn't technically handle tenseness properly how it should have. And that opening shark attack where you see the leg was pretty good. And I think it's the second shark attack I thought was good. Though it was a basic pull into the water, I liked the aftermath from it essentially. So I'm going to give it it's high based on that basically. And yeah, the movie starts off with basically a lesbian couple being berated by people, obviously homophobically, because of obviously them being lesbians. One basically responds by flipping the bird, and then they take it out on the other one and beat her almost to death. And it's then jumps like a year later. She gets invited to a friend's wedding. It's all a trick. She doesn't actually know her ex is there. And basically, the whole point then is them going to the island. They dump them one side of the island to get them try and get together and talk through what has happened, and then they go and chill on the other side. But okay, they all get together, shark happens, and they basically have to fight for survival. And I don't know, literally this movie, there's 2 movies that 100% I get reminded of while watching this. I mean, there's a few actually, to be fair. The whole idea of being stranded in the middle of the water, shark coming after you, there's definitely a lot. I mean, fucking one comes to mind from like 2 years ago actually. I think it's called Shark Bait. I think it's got some other names as well. With a bunch of friends on jet skis, get stranded in the middle of the water, shark comes after them one by one. There, literally, it's basic premise. So I'm not gonna dig at it for basically just doing basically something that everything else tends to do. It's just an easy and simple way of doing a shark movie. But what I will say is this: as soon as it's in the water stuff, obviously, as soon as they capsize the boat, which is what, half hour, 40 minutes into it, and it's an hour and a half film, I might add. So maybe about 40 minutes into it, and then the last 10 minutes. So these 2 sections here are basically copy and paste of better movies. So, for example, the ending, I will say, there's a moment, one character stuck on a rock, and it's legit a copy and paste of that same concept as The Shallows, which is a far superior shark movie. If you haven't seen it, check that one out. It's a lot better. we have talked about it in one of the very old formats on the show. Obviously, I will probably link it in the comments below on YouTube so you can check it out there. And so that this one shot was just almost like the space of the Shallows. Yes, it's got a different outcome to the Shallows, but it's basically the Shallows. And then the whole them stranding in the water, not knowing the shark's coming, is 100% the Reef. Again, a much superior shark movie. I will link it in the description below because that's one me and Hayden actually covered in the new format of just reviewing it. So I will link that one below. You can check that one out. But then at the same time, obviously one character swims off for help. That there is what happened in Sharkbait. So it's like a multiple mashup of other shark movies that I would deem better. I wouldn't deem Sharkbait too much better. I would deem it a bit better because it was more enjoyable. It just, I don't know, it does the idea of it's tense, yes. But you barely get any moments with the shark to actually justify these tense moments, is the word I'm after here. So when you get the first shark attack, great. So you get the aftermath, and it's actually a practical leg wound. You're like, Jesus, that's quite gory. And you can let the first death slide because you can see it coming a mile away. But then when they're in the water, you get another sequence with the shark, another character, that's it, that's their time up. And then that's it, really. It's not until after the next character's gone, not shark related as far as I'm aware, it might be, but it's off screen, it's a fade to black, that's it, that you get anything to do with the shark. Like, most of the actual shark stuff is the last 10 minutes. It's just, I was hoping of at least a mediocre shark movie. I don't give a shit if, obviously, if the film's bad, as long as it's got some sort of entertainment value, which is why then I'd give it like a 5 rating. But for me, this doesn't have that entertainment value. Yet the acting's okay. But what gets me is, from this review I read of the Guardian one, they refer to the characters as likeable, relatable characters. They are fucking not likeable, relatable. The one character who's the bride, this one, the friend who gets bit, is bleeding out in the water, dying, and she starts spending the entire time being like, oh, this was my day, this was all supposed to be about me, this is all your fault, you made me do this on my wedding day. I'm just like, how is that character relatable or anything, or likeable? She's literally bitching and moaning, saying, obviously putting all the blame on one person, saying it's all your fault, this was supposed to be the greatest day of my life, and you've got us here. Your friend's literally dying in front of you, and you're bitching and moaning. It's just like, how is that character likable? How any? It's just like, it's just I don't know how they rated it so high. I think out of 100, I gave it like 80 out of 100. I was like, how is it that high? How is it like an 8 out of 10, or I think my conversion is about 4 out of 5. How is that? It's nowhere near that good. It's quite boring. It's bland. It's copy and pasting better shark movies that you should watch over this. Obviously, I said that whole them not knowing the shark's going to happen. Obviously, something they did in The Reef, and that handled it a lot better because I did a lot of really cool shots of characters actually paying attention to their surroundings, looking underwater, trying to see, basically, is a shark going to come? And obviously, in that film, they did it with the practical, obviously, actual footage of sharks that they filmed for the movie. Whereas this, I say, it was CG shark. You only really got it once or twice. It wasn't the best looking thing. And it's just like, how is a movie from like 2010 done what you're trying to do, but 20 times better than what you've actually done? It's just, I would say I was let down with this movie, but I didn't have any high expectations heading into this. I actually had 3 shark movies to crack through that have been released within the past few months. I'm down to 1 now after these 2. And I remember finishing watching this, messaging Connor being like, I don't know why keep watching these shitty ass shark movies, because they seem to be getting worse and worse every fucking movie I watch of them. And I've got 2 more to watch after this. I'm dreading what they're going to be like, because this has now set the bar very low, which, to be fair, okay, the bar's low, so they only have to be slightly better to top it. And thankfully, at least one of them has. I've still got 1 more to go, which, I say, all 3 have low ratings online, but sometimes low ratings mean nothing for me, because I can watch it and be completely opposite to what the actual ratings are. But for this, I mean, if I get the actual IMDb up, something in the water. So on IMDb, it sits at, it loads, 4.2. I'll be less than that when I give it my rating. It's less than that. But yeah, it's just I don't know. It just wasn't very good. It could have been better. So even though they're using the same concept I've seen plenty of times before, I don't think that hinders anything. I feel like if you do that and make a good film, yes, I'll probably make comparisons to the exact same kind of film that's already been made. Yes, it might slightly hinder my rating system. I might go, okay, this film's done this bit better, so I'm going to give this a better rating than that. But I still think it doesn't affect it heavily, as long as it's a good movie. And for me, this movie isn't good. So, me comparing it just shows the massive gap in entertainment value between this score I'm going to give this and the score I gave, obviously, The Reef. I actually don't know exactly what I gave The Reef. I don't know to the point. Obviously, the exact point, because that was at the time I was doing the exact points. But on IMDb, I gave that a 7 out of 10, The Reef. So maybe I went just slightly higher than that. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. But for me, this is The Reef Stalked level of bad. That one I gave a 3 on IMDb. Again, I don't know the exact pointing I gave that. But I literally would say this is that level of bad. It does the exact same thing, i.e., someone dealing with trauma, they then get stranded, shark. It does that, but I think I gave, obviously on my ranking system, if I can find my rankings, I think I might have just tipped. Yeah, I've just tipped The Reef Stalked ever so slightly over Something in the Water, and then Shark Bait ever so slightly over them. It's just a film that could have been done better. It just, if handled better, and it just wasn't. As I said, there's those couple of things that I did really enjoy. The score, for example, as I said at the start, the score is something I really did enjoy. I thought it was it added to a lot of the tense moments, and even obviously in the finale with the big final act, the music was really well done. It just, I don't know, I just wasn't as into it as I was hoping I'd be, and that's why I think out of 10, I'm going to give it a bang on 3 out of 10. It just was just nothing. I generally was, those 3 points are just score, tenseness, and there's a couple of other things I did like. Other than that, it just doesn't deserve to go any higher. If I might do I actually go lower than that, because this film was pretty bad. You know what? Screw this. Ignore that 3 out of 10. I'm going even worse than The Reef Stalked. To be fair, I might drop The Reef Stalked myself in there when going back through stuff. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 10. It was just bad. It was a bad movie. So it's got a few moments I liked. It wasn't as, well, I wouldn't go as low as say Jaws Revenge, because it wasn't as stupid in concept, i.e., shark hunting someone because their family killed a shark in the past. Like, I think that kind of hindered that movie a little bit. But this movie has the realisticness to it, but it's just a boring movie generally. There's so much they could have done better. I feel like, yeah, I think you have to add a max, like 10 times more of the shark. You just need to add a little bit more of seeing it. Maybe seeing a fin and seeing the characters freak out to that. It doesn't do enough for me to justify it being a shark movie. Especially since the poster, again, is littered with pictures of sharks, and it's just, you don't make a poster like that and then not show the shark that much. It's just stupid. So I feel like a 2 out of 10 is where I'm going with this. I'm going slap bang 2. I'm not even going to 2.5. I'm going exactly 2. I've dropped my rating after bad mouthing it and thinking about what bad mouthing it. But now I'm going to move on to a shark movie that, as I say, I had 2 more to follow this. I had this one, and I had the one that's called, I think No Way Up or something like that, with the plane crash in the water. I've got that one still to watch, but I went with this one. I picked it up for like $4.99 on Amazon Prime. This one went straight to DVD, I believe, straight to digital and everything. Where somehow Something in the Water at least had a cinematic like weekend and was like, I don't know how that got in the cinema. I would literally prefer to watch this in the cinema than that. And that is The Last Breath, another one that was released this year. And it stars the late Julian Sands, who obviously passed away at the start of 2023. Obviously disappeared hiking and then found his body. So I believe this was his last movie he made. And he plays like a more older, experienced diver. And this story focuses on a bunch of friends that go to meet a friend that they meet every day, every couple of years. They go to like a Caribbean island to meet him, hang out. He then tells them that, well, I found basically an underwater wreck, is the word I'm after, like an old World War II sunken ship that no one's ever found. I think the reason it explains why it's suddenly appeared is that the sands, obviously, over the years with climate change, the sands have shifted and it's reappeared. And basically, one friend wants to go down. He disagrees, says, no, this is going straight to the authorities. They can deal with it. It's all their stuff. Turns out, obviously, the one who passed away in real life, obviously, his character is on a lot of debt. So he uses his rich friend's money, basically, to pay for this. So he's like, okay, I'll take you down. You'll give me 50 grand. And that's it. Obviously, he then leverages the idea of, well, I'm paying 50 grand. Everyone's going, not just me. So they all go down to this wreck while he stays on top, while watching, obviously just keeping a look at and chilling, cooking food. There's actually a shot of him cooking food. And they go to this underwater wreck, and while down there, they find like this pocket of air, but then their rope, that's their tether to basically to get out, snaps. Like, it cuts to one person's leg ever so slightly because it's pretty tight. Because someone's grabbed it. They assume maybe a dolphin or someone's accidentally caught it, and that's what's done it. But of course, it's not. On their way out, they run into a shark. So there's a shark inside this underwater wreck. So now the film is this group stuck under the water, no way to contact above surface. And not only they're stuck in this wreck, oxygen's low, and there's a shark in there. And that straight away drew me in. Like, the idea is quite interesting. I don't think I can think of a film off the top of my head that has that same sort of idea. And I was like, it's got, obviously, it's very reminiscent to, obviously, of other films when they're stuck in the water with sharks. I say 47 meters down is one that comes to mind. And the claustrophobicness, definitely the second one on Cage, when they're stuck in the caving system. So there is other films that I can think of with the same sort of trapped in the water idea. But for me, I don't think I can think of one when they're trapped in basically a ship underwater. World War II ship underwater. And so I actually really enjoyed this one. Like, it's not an amazing film, but it's got some moments. I like the intro where you see the ship get sunk for the first time, and you get to see the idea that there is sharks in this water, because there's always there's dialogue later on where the main character is literally like, well, there's no records really I can think of sharks being in this water. So the intro is there to show you that that's bullshit, because you get to see the ship sunk and a shark take out the survivors of the ship. And then obviously, I say, it cuts to them all meeting up. Some usual first 20 minutes of them just having a laugh, setting up what's to come, and then they go down, see the wreck, shark attacks, and it's a fight for survival then. And I said, this for me it's really good. I like the claustrophobicness. Though I like the tenseness of people being obviously stuck above the water, the shark can come anywhere. I feel like this is very tense because the oxygen's low. They've only got really one, maybe two, if they explore paths out of this ship, and in the process there's a shark swimming around, there's blood in the water. Like, it's really well handled. The characters, yeah, they aren't likable. I feel like any sort of movie like this, you might be able to get away with like maybe one character that's likable, maybe two, but you use your characters. Usually, these type of films, most characters aren't designed to be likable, because they're designed to be chum for the sharks. They do have the likable character in this. As a character that very quickly is shown to be likable. She's basically she helps this little girl with like a cut on her hand, and she cut herself on coral, I think she said, and it's got infected. But she pours some water on it. She gives her some money and basically tells her to basically get this type of medicine. So she gives her like a little notepad and it's like, give this to your mom, tell her to get that, use that money to get that, and your hand will be right as rain. So instantly there, she's shown to be a very caring person, a very nice person. And then even when she sits down later on with Julian Sands' character, and she's having a discussion because obviously he's knitting. She's trying to figure out. She's asking him why. He's explaining obviously why. Obviously he knits, why he can't dive anymore, and she's being very caring towards him. And so that shows you there. It's instantly a character that's very likable, and that's your character. You're like, okay, she's more than likely going to survive, unless the movie throws a very quick curveball and takes her out. But obviously, spoiler alert, it doesn't. You very much can see as you're watching it which characters are going to get taken out when, especially obviously when scenes start pushing in. There's a lot of obviously beef between two characters, i.e. the ex-boyfriend, who's the friend of Julian Sands' character, and obviously the woman's brother, because they kind of don't like each other as much. So the woman's brother's the one who's paying for this expedition because he's got the money apparently. So there's a lot of like bickering moments between them. But I said we can get the shark scenes. I said a lot more shark scenes in this. And when you get them, they're very intense because it's a very tight space they're stuck in, and this shark's just coming after them, smashing into doors, trying to get to them. And yeah, I remember I was reading on some reviews, people complain that the CGI on the sharks is bad. I don't think it is. I've definitely seen worse CGI for sharks. This movie does it well because a lot of it is dark, so it can mask a lot of the CGI. And I think even then when it does show you some scenes in the light, I don't think it's terrible CGI. Yeah, there's probably movies out there with 10 times better CGI, but for the budget this film probably had, definitely wasn't bad CGI. And I do like what I was reading about this, that pretty much most of the cast didn't use stunt people for a lot of the swimming scenes. They actually, the start of before production started, they actually learned how to dive properly and how to do everything that needed to be done. So all of it was pretty much them in the suits, and I like that. I think that's dedication. Because I said they could have easily just got, especially since the fact that a lot of times they're just in masks. A lot of this movie, especially as soon as it goes into water, you don't really see character faces until they get to the surface or until they get to this little air pocket. When you get to those parts, then you see the faces, but most of the time it's just the mask, and they probably could have easily maybe just CGI'd someone's face onto it. They could have easily probably just done that and just got away with it. But I feel like I like the fact that they didn't. I like the fact that they actually took time, trained the cast, went, okay, let's learn to dive, and put them in this situation and let them obviously film, obviously in the sets they use. So I think that's really good filmmaking. And so the acting's okay. It's not the best, but it's pretty good for one of these movies. And all the shark action is what you'd expect. It's not any of this bullshit off-the-screen kills. It is full, like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's one scene where like someone's swimming and the shark just wipes them out from the side, and it's just like, that's what I want. I don't want this to scene where, someone's just sitting there on top of the water and just bump gone. You don't mind that once, because you can, most shark films have that type of death in it. You can get away with that. I feel like sometimes you at least want to see an on-screen, shark massacre, and for me, this film delivers on that. It's definitely a lot better than something in the water. So if you were to choose between one of the two, definitely would recommend this one more than that one. So I'm not going to go high on this one rating wise, but I still think it's a decent, solid shark movie. And I think I'm going to go over 6.5. So I'll obviously go to the point this time, obviously the middle point rather than just stick with a 6. I was debating a 6, but what I've talked about and I remember watching it and enjoying what I was watching, definitely gonna up it to about 0.5. I feel like a 6.5 is decent. There's definitely been a mixed bag of shark movies. So I've seen 3 this year alone. I've got a 2, I've got a 6.5, and I've got an 8.4. Obviously, I probably would have ranged it to an 8.5 with this new rating. So very drastically different. I feel like this, of when I got this No Way Up, whatever it's fucking called. Listen, I felt like it's going to be in the 4 region, because I got 2 region, I got 4 region, 6 region, 8 region. It's going up in 2s. So we've got a very mixed bag of a year for shark movies. But to be fair, one of them was actually decently budgeted because it's Netflix. The rest have been pretty much straight to DVD, apart from one that somehow got a cinematic release for a limited time only. Don't know how. But yeah, so Last Breath definitely would recommend more over something in the water. Yeah, it still might not be your cup of tea, but it's definitely a lot more entertaining than the previous one. Yes, the previous one has the tense Don't know if it's going to come from underneath you or anything, but I feel like this one delivers more on the shark action, which definitely does make it a lot more watchable than the prior movie. And yeah, I think pretty much that covers everything for these two. Let's say two very drastically different types of shark movies, which I like. I don't like it gets boring when it's just the exact same type of shark movie over and over again. But when you kind of got a variety of different like ones, it's interesting. So I've still got that No Way Up to watch. I'm pretty certain it's called No Way Up. I just want to double check that. I feel like No Way Up. It would help if I actually spelt it right and didn't speed type it. Yeah, No Way Up. I said it's a three drastically different story-based shark movies. So you got one that's people stranded on top of the water. You got one when people are stuck in a plane that's sinking. Obviously, I'm pretty certain it's sinking over like a proper big dip as well. And you got one when there was a bunch of divers stuck in basically an underwater ship. So I like that. Yes, they have very similar ideas, especially this one and No Way Up. Very similar, stuck in a vessel underwater, but one is about a group of divers, one's about an actual bunch of civilians because it's a plane crash. So and obviously then you look at it like, okay, so then you got the realistic nature. The first one's something in the water. It's got the realistic nature of boat capsizing, sinking, you're stuck in the water. This got the sad realistic nature of, well, plane could crash and it's stuck in the water. So I like it, and then I like that they're both go the realistic path, and then they've got the shark added into the mix, and then so then you got this one, same idea, underwater, shark in the mix. But I feel like this one's probably got the most shark action. I feel like I'm hoping this one's got a bit more than something in the water. This one I still got to watch, but for the fact that it's a bunch of civilians and they're kind of trapped in a plane while trying to figure out how to get out of the plane, I don't think it's going to have as much shark action. But as long as it's got a bit more than the fucking something in the water, I'll be happy. As I say, though, it still means that technically it's a below average movie, and it's kind of meh. I still would like this to be in the 4 region just so I can keep this idea of 2, 4, 6, 8 going on. Because then all I'm missing there is a shark movie that comes out as a 10 out of 10, which probably will never happen because only Jaws is the greatest shark movie out there that deserves a 10 out of 10, and I don't think anything else will get as close. But I mean, it would be interesting if it did. I can't think of any other shark movies that are actually due out this year to even get anywhere near that. I don't think there is. There'll probably some like low budget ass fucking ones due, but they're definitely not going to get a 10 out of 10. So yeah, obviously, if you've seen Something in the Water, put your thoughts in the comments below. If you've seen The Last Breath, put your thoughts in the comments below. And obviously, if you've also seen that, obviously No Way Up, which obviously don't spoil it if you have seen it in the comments. Give me your opinion on it and tell me if I'm right in maybe my placement on the rating scale. Obviously, from not watching it, or at least my hope of the ratings placing on the rating scale. So yeah, obviously put those on the comments below. Obviously, you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, Amazon Music, etc., etc. You can check out the episode on YouTube itself, where you get to see my ugly mug, and sometimes Connor's ugly mug, sometimes Alex's ugly mug. Just varies on if I can get them on. And yeah, you can also check out on my other gaming videos. I definitely have done a shark game once. I remember me and Hayden doing Maneater. I remember playing it and she was talking while I was playing it. I would love to probably sit through that entire game on recording at one point. It's another one I can add to the list to possibly attempt to sit through. But I have done Raft, so if you're into survival, shark-based project, obviously, ideas, check out Raft. I did with Alex for like fucking, was it 70 odd episodes, maybe even more now. I've lost track of my mind in the end of what episode I went to with that. But that is, you survive a shark game. If you've not ever played it, check it out. It's basically the idea of just building on a raft, expanding the raft, trying to survive. Shark comes every now and again. I have to jab it off. Maybe bow it off if you got a bow or any other weapon that you might have crafted along the way. Of course, there is like a whole story where you get to different islands, different monsters. You can obviously different wildlife you can encounter. So something you can check out. I do recommend that. We had a lot of fun with that. I will link that along with the Shallows and, well, to be fair, I'll link all the shark-based reviews in the description below. Especially, I think from maybe the Shallows onwards, I'll pick and choose. I won't link them all. I'll pick and choose which ones, but I'll link the recommended ones below, and I'll say I will link the Raft playlist so you can check that all out. And yeah, I don't know yet what I'm going to cover next week. These are my only two. What I did this week and last week are my only two ideas I've had, but I should think of something. I mean, I'm checking out Twisters and a couple of other films soon, so maybe I'll sit down and actually review them. I don't know, Deadpool and Wolverine comes out soon, so I might even sit down and review that, or just save that for when I've got someone I can sit next to and talk to them about. But yeah, either way, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And, well, I'll see you on the next video.